All right, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hey, Lions Talk Live. Yes, it's just about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sorry I couldn't get this to you sooner. I had to get home from the gym, etc. But as you could probably ascertain from the thumbnail from this one, maybe the Detroit Lions were right for not making some bold moves at the trade deadline. Hutch Jr., you hear the news. Amed Hosan, the prodigal son, the favorite son of all Lions fans coming out of the draft. You know what? Sounds like he's back. What kind of impact do you think this will mean for the team, especially the defense?
Yeah, I think he was having a pretty good preseason up until he got injured. And I think the Lions kind of knew this coming in. I mean, they got to lean back. Now you're talking about Hassanin. Pascal's window has been activated as of last week. And then now we're just waiting on Marcus Davenport. So,
Right.
at one point, the part of the D line where it was looking iffy is now gaining some depth. And the Lions are getting healthy at the right time, man. So, um, I know we sometimes don't really understand the moves that Brad Holmes does, or if he does no moves or whatever. But,
Right.
I've been one of those people where I've criticized him before, and I've been wrong. And here we are again, where everyone thought, why are we cutting this guy? But I think they knew that there was no way no one was going to pick him up off a rookie deal, and they got him back. So. Good move by Brad. I'm interested to see what he does.
I think to your point, Brad Holmes and the team, they understood that if they didn't cut him, injury settlement him, then they're going to have to use one of their few injury designation returns during the season to get him back. What we saw out of him out of the preseason, what do you think he could bring potentially to this team, albeit maybe in the latter part of the season?
Yeah, he's just going to bring that depth, that rotational piece. He might come in and have a couple sacks, a couple pressures. Um, I don't expect him to come in and light the world on fire, but he's shown, and you got to think this guy hasn't really played a lot of games. So he's still relatively, raw in aspects of things. So they're going to bring him in, and who better to work with than Hutch and McNeil and those guys, and I think he'll pick up where he left off in the preseason. I know from what I've been watching on his Instagram story, he's been excited to get back out to football. So, I think he's going to come in. He'll be one of those rotational pieces. You'll see him probably come down, on the second, third down with the big guys, maybe take some pressure off those guys. And, I think, maybe at the end of the season with like 4 or 5 sacks, I think the Lions would be happy, especially with how long he's been out.
For those catching up, Amed Hosan returned to the team to the practice squad today. We do not know if they're going to use one of the 4 protected slots on him. That means no other team could potentially poach him. You are allowed to protect 4 people. You look at the Lions in the fact that Miles Frazier returned last week, started his 21-day window. You got, Davenport probably getting pretty close. Josh Pascal started his 21-day window last week, and then it looks like we're going to have a few other people coming back soon. How complete of a total team do we have going into Philadelphia and the back half of the season?
Yeah, name you did not mention there is Rodrigo will be back this week, so he'll be playing in the Eagles game. The Lions, man. If everyone, we've talked about it many times, but everyone's going to say about that Commanders game, they were pretty injured, they were banged up, but everyone knows they played that Lions team last year. It's the NFL, it's next man up mentality. So, Lions at this point last year were one of the most injured teams in the NFL. We had to deal with it. Now they're on the other side of that. They're getting everybody back. I would not be shocked if DJ Reed probably gets his window activated here soon either. I saw, Terrion, he's just got a concussion. I definitely thought he was going to be out longer when they said it was a cart injury, but thankfully it was just a concussion. So
Hey,
Lions are on the.
Nope. We're going to have to restart. Apparently it didn't go live. Hold on a second. So, sorry, man.
No, you're good.
All right. Hold on a second, man. All right, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. Want to thank you all for joining us here. Lions Talk Live. Sorry I couldn't get this to you sooner. I had to get back from the gym, but as you probably could ascertain from the thumbnail from this show, looks like the Lions are going to have a little bit more speed, a little bit more athleticism coming off the edge as of maybe an hour ago. Detroit Lions have re-signed their prodigal son of the draft, the favorite son that we saw throughout the preseason. Obviously, you've seen him in a bunch of draft videos. Amed Hosan is going to return to this team. Hutch Jr., you find out he's going to be back. What do you think this means to this Detroit Lions team?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, he's going to bring energy. He's going to bring depth. He's going to be a rotation piece. And we still don't even have Davenport back. Davenport is another name that's going to be back probably here, I'd say, in the coming weeks. If not, I mean, you'll have him for the playoffs, so that's huge. But, getting Hassanin back, I think Brad Holmes, another brilliant way to kind of work this roster. I think they didn't want to use an IR spot on him because you only limited so many.
Correct.
And then, here they are, 8, 9, 10 weeks into the season, and they get him back no one claimed him, thankfully. And I think he's going to help out this team a lot. I think, he was having a really good preseason up until he went down injured. Lions are on the other side of where they were last year, where they're getting a lot of these people back.
You talk about all the guys coming back. You talk about fans everywhere, if you're a Lions fan at least, wanted Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell to pull the trigger at the trade deadline. It didn't happen. But now in recent weeks, you've seen Rodrigo listed to come back. You've seen Davenport about to come back. We all know that Miles Frazier is back. Josh Pascal's back. Just how much depth is this Detroit Lions team looking to add, basically through all the players returning into the home stretch, the back half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit a good point. You got some big games coming up. You got Philly this week. Then you got the Packers coming up on Thanksgiving. So I mean, they're on the right part of this team. I mean, they're getting these guys back. They're not just bums. They're actually players that can contribute to this team. DJ Reed is still out. He's going to be back in a couple weeks. It's just part of the NFL. The Commanders were one of those teams, unfortunately, when we played them last week, that were injured, and it's just the next thing up. But I just, with the Lions, last year, everyone, Brad wouldn't sign anybody, didn't trade for anybody, anything like that, and here we are looking now where you look at, like, can you ever have too many guys? It almost feels like that D line room is loaded. I mean, not with like superior talent, but they have decent guys that are on there that can rotate in and give, Hutch is playing a lot of snaps. So Liam's playing a lot of snaps, Reeder and Tyleek and these guys. So now you can kind of just pick and choose, and, maybe some of these guys are going to get home and, help out that secondary a little bit.
And for those who are saying we were live, the only thing I can say is on my screen, the command screen, it just said that we hadn't gone through the order. There was an error. So I apologize if you did hear us all. Then, hey, I guess you get to double down on the information. Hutch Jr., when you look at this team going forward, obviously a big win yesterday. We all know the story. Dan Campbell takes over the offense. What do you think this means going forward for this Detroit Lions offense that yesterday, man, over 500 total yards? It looked pretty dang good to me.
Yeah. Huge relief. I don't expect Johnny Morton to be calling plays anytime soon. If anybody watched the presser this afternoon, I think Dan Campbell made it very clear that there were some changes that needed to be made. Dan loves Johnny Morton. It's his best friend. They get along, but, sometimes when things aren't just clicking and you can tell, and you have this amount of stars, and you're not getting them the ball, or things aren't working, things need to be happen. And unfortunately, it's going to be the Dan Campbell show from here on out. I mean, you can't, you go from the Minnesota game to this, and you just see this, difference. Everyone touched the ball. Khalif Raymond, J-Mo, St. Brown, Gibbs, Monty, everyone got to eat somehow. And if everyone looked at it, it was a split backfield. I think it was 15 carries and 15 carries. I like Johnny Moe, but I just felt like there were some things where he he didn't understand how to get the ball to certain people. And when those players are coming to your head coach saying, look, man, we have the talent. We all don't need the ball. We just want to win. Dan Campbell is not going to let Dan Campbell has built a certain atmosphere in this team, and he's not going to let them get disgruntled. And, Dan just had to make the change.
Well, the change did happen. I think Lions fans everywhere are pretty dang happy about it. When you look at the defense, we still don't know what's going on with Kirby Joseph. We don't have a definitive update on Terrion Arnold. DJ Reed, MCDC said in the past, probably coming back later this month, maybe early December. But you look at where those returns all line up. How good of a defense do you think the Lions have going into Philly, 1, and 2, going into December?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on it. DJ Reed was playing really well up until he got injured. Kirby, even though barring his knee, I mean, he was still playing decent ball. Terrion, I mean, early in the season was not doing great, and now he's improved. So, I mean, you get DJ Reed back. Terrion's got a concussion. So I don't know if he'll be out for Philly, but Lions usually kind of take that stuff a little easy. They'll probably maybe sit him. I don't know. We'll see, depending on how he progresses. But yeah, I mean, the Lions getting these people back is just going to help us in the long run. You got to push for that NFC North. It's loaded, or the NFC is loaded this year. So no better time to get players back at the tail end of your season. And, some of these guys are going to be well rested for the playoffs.
That's correct. All right, Hutchinson, why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out? I know you got to get into pertinent things this evening, so I'll let you get out of here. And good luck to you, by the way. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you, support your content, etc.
As always, guys, you can find me on here with Dan Duke Crew. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit the like, hit the share button, guys. Facebook, you can find me at the Lions Den, and then on Twitter, you can find me at Superfan Hutch.
All right, Hutch Jr., thanks. Good luck tonight. Duke Crew, hey, I think it may not be a total game changer getting Amed Hosan back yet, but who knows? We've seen all the athleticism he has, the power he has. How much can he grow and develop? We'll find out. Miles Frazier, you've also heard the coaching staff talk about him. Potentially, that's why they didn't address in the trade deadline adding somebody like a swing tackle, a guard, or whatever, because of their belief in him. You saw the face of Dan Campbell when he talked about Miles Frazier, and you could see him glowing quite heavily. You've also seen the same when he talked about Amed Hosan's potential. Whether that potential lives out this year, the postseason, next year, we'll have to wait and see. Duke Crew, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do something kind for someone you don't know, and we'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, all.